Today we're going to be talking about the newly buffed Ant-Man, and I honestly am a pretty big fan of this guy. I like what I'm seeing so far. Today is just going to be a quick utility showcase. I'm not going to get too much into like his general damage output. I just want to show you like what he can do and like what he'll bring to your account. So I'm going to do some max 7 paths. This right here is the buffet lane in 7.1.6. He's really good for buffet because he does not gain any buffs. That's like one of his biggest like pieces of utility. He just does not gain buffs straight up. And that's like starting to become more and more common, I feel like. The fact that science champs are not gaining buffs, like for example, Titania, who also comes out this month, also doesn't gain buffs. So like they're definitely trying to push that for sure, and I don't know, I'm down for it. I think it's a really cool piece of utility. But not only that, he's also immune to poison and shock, and this has the clapback node. So whenever we inflict the poison, we will get it back. But since Ant-Man does not take poison damage or he's immune to poison, we just ignore the node. So it's a really good like thing for Ant-Man that he has that immunity to poison. So overall, I feel like a big chunk of his utility is his immunities, but like the fact that they're all so unique just makes it really, really good, you know? His damage output, I'm 50-50 on it, man. Like you can see the damage right here. The poison are taking for a good chunk. I don't think there's too much like damage coming from outside sources in this node. It's just, you know, it's really consistent is the thing. I feel like while it's not like all too potent, it's really easy to maintain and refresh, and it just makes for like a really practical character. But yeah, that was 129. That's a pretty good time for a 6-star rank 2. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, this is a 6-star rank 2 unduped. The awakenability does offer quite a bit for him. It lets you pause his debuffs, which just adds even more practicality to the character. And it also lets you get some fatigues, like when you glance an attack. So it's pretty good. It does offer a lot of benefits. In my opinion, he does not need it. Like, this is unduped gameplay, and I feel like he's doing just fine. But yeah, this is the same exact node. This is also buffet and clapback. Like I said, he just works really good for it because he does not gain buffs, and he does not take any poison damage, so you don't have to worry about clapback as well. I am running the Ghost Trinity here. I don't know if I would say that he needs it. He kind of really wants it because it just really reduces the amount of ramp you have to do. If you're running him by himself, you have to do 3 SP1s to get your maximum ramp. If you're running Ghost and Sam Wilson, you don't have to do anything but 1 SP1. So that's a big difference. That's a whole 2 power bar difference. Like, that is pretty massive. I'm just running Ghost though, I'm not running Sam Wilson, so I only get 8 fatigues on the SP1. And I think it's bugged. Like, the last time I checked, it was bugged with Sam Wilson. Like, you couldn't refresh his fatigues. So it doesn't really matter if I'm not using it or not, just because it's bugged right now. But yeah, the poison damage is pretty nice. That's not the maximum poison damage. The maximum is 12, which I know some people might be upset with because previously he could stack them infinitely and it made for a ton of damage output, and he was like one of the best characters for long matchups. And that is not the case anymore at all. They really did a trade-off for like more utility at like the cost of his long health damage. But I think it's a fair trade-off, to be honest. I also just realized that I said long health damage, like whatever that means. I meant high health damage. But this is energy adoption lightning, so really simple. Like, there is no external nodes here. It is just that he is poison immune. So I mean, he is shock immune, so he does it really easily. It's a full immunity to shock. There is no downsides to it. He doesn't have to like have something active for him to get it. It is just a full uptime on shock and poison immunity and buff immunity as well. Which, look, I'm not a comics guy. I don't know if it makes sense. I don't know if he should have these immunities up, but he does have them, and it's really strong. I think he's one of the very few science champs that are immune to poison and shock. I think it's just Scorpion also that's immune to poison and shock, which is great, you know? It's always good to have like other options for certain like immunities, for certain like utilities, like his buff immunity as well. There's also Red Guardian, Spider-Man 199, Titania, and Quicksilver to an extent. But he is now another option for that. So it's really good in my opinion to like keep adding new champs that offer some pretty like niche utility. So yeah, we dropped the SP2 here. Now we have 12 poisons and it's doing 3.7k. That is really, really solid. It's not solid because it's just like, oh yeah, like a bunch of damage at once. It's just really consistent because they stay on for like the rest of the match. So it's like, it's a nice added piece of damage output. And I feel like in War, it's going to be more than enough to finish off the opponent as well. This matchup is honestly like the perfect Ant-Man matchup. This has Power Shield 2.0, or no, it's not 2.0, it's just Power Shield. It has a Rage, and it also is a Miles Morales. So another thing that Ant-Man does is he counters miss. Whenever he inflicts his unsteady debuff, he cannot miss, which is like right there, you can see. He has the Spider Camo active, we are just ignoring the miss. So it's a really good piece of utility. And what I was saying about War, I feel like this guy is really going to be good for War because he has access to Poison and Shock immunity, which is what you need for the 2 lanes in Path 9. He can also take EMP modification because he doesn't get any buffs, and he doesn't gain, like, he can't get shocked either. So I feel like there is a lot of use for this guy in Alliance War. I will have to see how he compares to the likes of, like, Scorpion. Scorpion is a super popular War champ right now, and it's going to be hard to see if, like, Ant-Man can not only compete with Scorpion, but like outclass him as well. I feel like that's a really hard thing to do because Scorpion is just that good in my opinion. So I don't know, there's a lot to test with Ant-Man. There's a lot to like judge. Is like we just have to wait and see, I guess, how he performs. I think he's gonna do just fine. I don't think he's gonna be the best for anything. Like, well, actually it depends because Scorpion isn't buff immune, Ant-Man is. They have the same immunities, and they like approach the fights differently. So I feel like Ant-Man and Scorpion, they will have their separate uses. It just depends on like who's better overall. But yeah, we're almost done with this matchup. It's just all about consistent poison damage. And yeah, he gets this matchup done in a pretty decent time. And now we're going to move on to the other matchup in this lane. But yeah, like I said before, there are some problems with this character, like the fact that if you're not intercepting, you have to take a lot of block damage to the face. I mean, not to the face, but like you have to take a lot of block damage. That can add up for sure. He does have his unsteady debuff, which lets him be a little bit more tanky than usual, but then again, it still just is a lot of block damage. But you can just intercept anyway. I know you can't always intercept. Like, let's say there's like a Kitty Pryde or something, or like you just can't intercept her. Well, actually, you can intercept her with Ant-Man because he does counter miss. So I don't know. There's some drawbacks, but there's also some solutions to that drawback as well, you know? Like, the ramp up could be a drawback for Ant-Man, the fact that, like, by himself he has to do 3 SP1s and then SP2, but that's fixed with the synergies with Ghost and Cap Sam Wilson. So, he does have drawbacks, but there's also ways to solve them pretty easily is the thing. So I feel like that's a really good thing that Ant-Man has. Some characters just have drawbacks that are, like, that can't be solved, and it's really frustrating, but Ant-Man's drawbacks can, in fact, be solved. But like I said, another big thing is we just don't know if he's going to be the best for anything. I think he will be the best in some cases just because his immunities are so unique. You know, like buff immunity and poison and shock immunity, that's just like a crazy combo. So I feel like he will have his uses for sure. But yeah, this matchup, pretty straightforward, pretty decent time as well. Now, this is the last lane of the utility showcase. This isn't more about the lane, it's more about the characters that I'm facing off against. Like, this is Invisible Woman. She obviously has access to miss, but Ant-Man with his unsteady debuff counters miss. I don't really like how it has a cooldown of 15 seconds. That's, like, really annoying. I wish it could just, like, not have a cooldown so it can be a really strong miss counter. Like, right now, he's just a good miss counter. He's not a strong one, you know? Because if he was a strong one, he would have it up, like, pretty much all times. Like, Nick Fury, Quicksilver, those champs have much better miss counters just because there's no cooldown to it. But, yeah, it's still a really nice piece of utility. I'm not going to hate too much on it. It's just I wish it did have, like, maybe a lesser cooldown at the minimum. Like, 15 seconds is a ton of time, but yeah, I can't complain too much, and I'm not going to complain too much, because outside of that, he just has a lot of utility, a lot of practicality. I love how, like, pretty much every recent Science champ just has so much practicality, like Quicksilver, Ant-Man. I imagine Titania will also have a lot of practicality as well, so yeah, it's just looking pretty up for the Science class, I must say. But yeah, this matchup, it's the same old stuff. He has, like, the same rotation in pretty much every matchup. It's just SP1, SP2, keep intercepting or keep baiting heavy attacks to like refresh the poison, and that's it. So it's, like, really simple with Ant-Man. He's a really easy character to use, which is a good plus for me. There's not much skill required to master him. so that's a really good thing. And yeah, it's just a pretty solid champion in my opinion. Now for the final match in the showcase, we're going to be going against a Man-Thing. And Ant-Man is probably one of the best Man-Thing counters just because he counters him in so many ways. Like, he can't gain buff, so he can't get poisoned, he can't get the pustules on him, and Alliance where he can't feed Mystic Dispersion because you're not getting buffs. Also, Man-Thing has a ton of resistances, like, you can't be crit, he's like bleed immune, he's just really, really tanky. But Ant-Man bypasses all of that with his poison. So it's just a really good time for Ant-Man. I think he's one of the most direct counters to Man-Thing overall. And yeah, it's really good. I love when Science Champs are like really strong counters to certain Mystic characters. Ant-Man, he should counter like Dr. Doom pretty well as well, just because Doom is really susceptible to poison, just like Man-Thing is. So yeah, I feel like Ant-Man he's a bit of a Mystic killer, to be honest, because like the no buff thing, the poison, I feel like he really is a really strong Mystic killer. So yeah, we get off the poisons here. A lot of damage. Well, it's damage. I'm not gonna say it's a lot of damage, but it's damage. It's consistent. I'd rather have like consistent damage over time than just like one big burst of damage, I just wish it had like a bit of a higher stack. Like, that's what I wanted, man. I wanted like 20 stacks would have been pretty nice, but I'm not gonna complain too much. It's fine. And yeah, he's pretty much done here. He's gonna drop like one more SP2 and that's gonna be it. But yeah, overall, I'm a fan of this guy. I'm not a big fan, I'm not like a massive fan. I just think he's a pretty solid addition to the game. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Ant-Man. I think he's pretty cool. And yeah, that's gonna be it for me.